Good morning, everybody. You're back with Themis Farms, and glad to be back with you. Today, compared to some of our other videos, is going to be a bit controversial. Not with farmers, but with the pressure or the world or life or business situation that we find ourselves in today. I'm going to start this off with a story. I recently had a big holiday weekend. Many of you may or may not know, I am a boat captain, part-time, and I am a farmer, part-time. We are a farm-to-table, small family-run business. On the boat, we're having a great day. Everybody's having a good time. And I'm talking to an old friend that I've known for 10, 12 years, okay? She grew up on a farm in Wisconsin. And she always talks about, she's pretty close to my age, and she's always talking about how amazing her childhood was. To give you some reference, she now lives in a city, San Diego, a beautiful area of San Diego. And it has an amazing life, but she always reflects back to her childhood and raising the animals around the farm. They were a big commercial farm, but they pretty much did sell, product to other people around. That's not really what the story's about. She and I always talk about my farm. She's so excited. She lives vicariously through me, as a lot of people do who can't afford a farm, and maybe that's why you're watching this video, is you either can't afford one, or you don't have the property, or you don't have the ability to start a small farm like Elizabeth and I have, and you will one day. If it means enough to you, you can make this happen. So I'm telling her about how, like, my meat shop is ready. I've built a butcher shop. And, I bought a tractor that's, strong enough to actually hoist, the pigs where I can, clean them and get them into my meat shop in my walk-in cooler. And I'm trying to be somewhat discreet. I'm an employed person at that moment there, and it's not for everybody, I suppose. So it's, I'm trying to just talk to this gal about this. Her friend storms away, stomps off, and I was like, oh wow, boy, I wasn't even talking about butchering necessarily, the process of it, just the fact that I do my own butchering. And I said to my friend, I said, I'm sorry, did I bother her, did I offend her somehow? And she goes, you know how it is, she's just very sensitive when it comes to, animals in their lives. And I said, yeah, I do. I get that. I'm surrounded by that. And it almost seems crazy to me, but, wasn't she just eating a hot dog? And she's like, yeah, I know. But how do you explain that to them? People have lost touch from where their food comes. People think a hot dog just grows in a store. I know, I'm talking to farmers and people. Farmers already know everything I'm saying here. They've experienced it all themselves. But I'm quite proud of the fact that I raise mine, I free range my pigs as much as possible. And not that growing them on cement isn't just as incredible. I don't mean it like that. But I do accommodate to my animals as much as possible. I go down, and on hot days, I hose them down a couple of times a day if there's not enough, space in the mud puddle. This is not a torture chamber here. Those guys are living really good out there, And I could make 10 videos out of this one video. So I said, well, hopefully I didn't offend her. And so, the conversation went away. And about an hour or two later, she came up to me with a bit of a chip on her shoulder, if you will. and said, I just don't understand why you feel the need to kill them on your own property. And I thought, not only is that one contradiction, that's like 3 or 4 hypocrisies all piled into one. It's like, well, first of all, I don't feel the need to kill them. I just don't really have any other way to butcher them if I don't kill them. I mean, unless you got a better idea. I mean, that's kind of how I got to do it, right? I mean, I'm like, so I'm trying to be calm, as peaceful as possible with this whole conversation, and she's wanting a confrontational conversation with me, and I thought, well, I'm not going to go down that road. We're going to keep this peaceful. Well, those animals want to live a full and happy life. And the idea for this video came from the other day. My wife, that story, obviously, but my wife was talking to a close friend of hers. And she said, well, I don't know why it's so important. Let me ask Allan, why is it important that we eat? Now, Elizabeth knew, she couldn't express it. She was like trying to get some help on the conversation. Why is it so important that we raise endangered species pigs? They're endangered species, right? They would not exist if it weren't for small farms, just like this one. It just wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be around anymore, okay? So that breed would go extinct. Well, why is it important that we eat them? Well, it's almost just about like the Ducks Unlimited story. Back in the 60s, and they blamed it on DDT, but there was a lot of different reasons why, the duck population was in decline at such a massive rate. It was scary what was happening, and I believe it was the late 70s that an organization, I could be totally wrong about the dates, but they came up with Ducks Unlimited. Essentially, it was a group of people who enjoyed duck hunting that saw the depopulation of the ducks, and they wanted to continue to hunt the ducks. So what did they do? They went out and created better and better habitat for all the ducks. That's why duck populations exploded, and they're still on the increase from what I understand. So the hunters, the people who shoot the birds, are the ones that created this lush and great environment for these birds. Okay. Why? Because that's what man does. We're creators. We create. We prosper. We build corrals to create better environments for species that wouldn't be with us if we hadn't. Okay? I don't want to get too deep into that because it's really a whole nother show, to be honest. Where I want to get with this is farmers are under attack all across the world. And it's not fair. It's not, I don't understand it. It's not common sense. Okay? It's just not. And how is it, Kate, I've talked about this in the past on my on this channel. I'm a bit of an economist, okay? I'm more than a bit. How does it make sense to anybody in the world that something that you do at least once a day, if you're alive, to up to 3 and 4 times a day, people do what? They eat. Something that's so important to human life and existence, we do it 3 times a day. Name one other thing, maybe other than getting on your phone and watching YouTube videos. What else do we do 3 times a day? How important is that to man? It's so important that 3 times a day, everybody on this planet does that. Unless you're fasting. But, like, do you know how huge that is? And I talked about this before with people. I read an article one time that there's 8 billion people, right? There's over 12 billion meals consumed on the face of this planet every single day. 12 billion meals. Do you know how incredible that is? Do you know how prosperous this planet is? Do you know how well we're thriving and how well we're doing? And who do they owe that to? Who do they owe the 12 billion meals to? You, the farmer. That's right, the farmer. And now we have people and legislation and Davos and the New World Order trying to tell us that we're doing it wrong. Okay, all right. I'm okay with if you can come up with a better plan. I'm okay. I'm open ears. Do you have a working project? No, you don't. Do you have a solution? No, you just can't do it the way you're doing it. Do you have other things that you support, such as, let's see, the military-industrial complex, that uses 50 times as much carbon and whatever they're concerned about, I suppose nitrates, and carbon emissions? Why didn't you go after them first? I'm not bagging on the military, but is the military feeding people 3 times a day? Why did you target the farmer? That's beyond me. And you know, at your little meeting at Davos, did they serve lunch, dinner, breakfast? Yeah, I'll bet they did. And I'll bet there was coffee and tea there too. And you know what? Somebody grew the coffee and tea, didn't they? That was a farmer. Okay. Not only that, you flew there in a private jet. You also have 4 or 5 homes scattered around the planet that you don't even visit. How do I know that? I work for billionaires. I know they do. They don't even visit. I know billionaires that have yachts that have never been on them. Never. I had a captain friend of mine who ran a boat for 3 years and never saw his boss. Can you imagine that? He told the captain to drive the boat to somewhere exotic. When you get there, call me and maybe I'll make time to go hang out on my own boat. And they're coming after the farmer? Gee, I don't know. Maybe they should look in the mirror. I don't know. I'm not trying to say they're our problem or this is insurmountable. I'm just saying that unless you come up with an efficient, better solution, why are you telling people you can't do something? We need your help. We need your support. We don't need you tying one of our arms behind our backs. We're all in this together. And when we printed all that money like 2 years ago, did any of it go to farming? No. 80% of the money. They gave you and I 20%, right? Roughly. Stimmy checks, whatever you want to call them. Did any of it go to farming? Did any of it go to farming research? How to make us more profitable? No. What I should have said to the lady is, well, next year I'm going to offer you a cricket hot dog. Yeah, of course, that would take a farmer too, right? I didn't mean to get all worked up, and that's not normally about what our channel is all about. We have to ask ourselves some hard questions. And the farmers are the only ones asking the hard questions. But they're not being heard. That's why they're slinging fertilizer all over the buildings of, let's see, Spain, Portugal. There's too many to count. Italy. All over Europe. All over Canada. All over the U.S. Farmers are not happy. Why? Nobody wants to be treated poorly. Nobody wants to be told they're the problem with pollution on the face of the planet. And does it make any sense at all to any of you? Let me ask this hard question to anybody who opposes anything I've just said. Okay, can you prove that not using farming fertilizer changes the air quality of the air next year? How do you calculate that? What's your calculations for that? Are they going to come out and say, look, thank God we got rid of all those European farm practices because our air right now is so much better than it ever used to be? I mean, do they understand that third world countries are consuming more and more and more fossil fuels? Do you know that you would not be able to measure whether or not Spain quit using fertilizer because the other third world countries that are up and coming are having more and more people come from poverty to the middle class? Think about that. And what happens when people come from poverty? Oh, they quit walking or riding a bicycle and they start riding motorcycles or cars. China in the last 10 years is producing way more carbons than they did before. Why? Not because of farming. It's because that's what man does. Man goes forward and man burns fossil fuel currently. If you want to be good stewards or good leaders of the face of this planet, the leaders of men, give us something to go to. I'm a boat captain, and you don't step off of a sinking boat unless you've got a life jacket or a lifeboat to step onto, unless you really have to. Give us an alternative. Give us something that'll work. Don't just tell somebody they can't do it any longer. That's not leadership of men. I can't run my business that way. You have to give people something to better their lives. And you haven't done that for these people. You're trying to always write legislation and rules and regulations to constantly put them in a box that you can control them. That's not leadership. We need better leadership than that. And this isn't political. This is bigger than politics. I hope everybody understands. I don't have a political bone in my body. It's not about politics, people. This is about human beings and the betterment of man in all forms. I didn't mean to get so wound up. Sometimes you just got to get things like that off your chest. And, well, hopefully I made sense and it wasn't just a rant. And I hope all of you who would like to see this kind of video produced more, support the channel. Let me know, hey, you're off your rocker. That's crazy, Al. What are you talking about? Or let me know. I'm always open for suggestions. We're just a small little farm. We're nothing. This is not my livelihood. Thank God. I can't imagine what you people are going through in the big farms right now. I hear stories, and I like to think that people that run our countries care about people who happen to be farmers. I'd like to think that, and I'm not seeing a lot of evidence of that, but I would like to think that they do. Okay. All right. Now I'm just rambling on. Hope you guys got something from the video, and I'll see you guys real soon. right here on this channel. Thanks for being with us. Themis Farms. We have a website, and please look us up. We really enjoy this. And any of you that are thinking about farming and would like to get into it, and any of you that are thinking about farming and would like to get into it, sure, it's controversial right now, but people need to eat, and they always will. So don't ever give up your dream. And if your childhood dream was always to have your own farm, you can do it. Elizabeth and I are proof of that. Okay, guys, with that, I will see you next time. Have a great day.